our meeting to order. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Shanta? Here. Councilmember Keisler?
Here.
Councilmember Craig?
Here.
Mayor Deutsch?
Here.
And here, or excuse me, Councilmember Sprague.
Flag salute, everybody, please. Rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, if you need to sit down here, I need more filler in front of the camera.
Okay, approval of the agenda.
I make the motion that we approve the agenda.
Here's a second. Okay, got a second, all in favor?
Right.
Aye, motion passes. Next, we have approval of minutes. I do have one comment on there. There was an addition of Alex Rivera's award. It came after the police thing. If you would just put a notice of that in there and read it back to us what you got there.
Yeah, and I also had a correction as well. I noticed this afternoon, under the consent agenda, I put that both A and B were approved. We did not approve B because that was the destruction of public records, which we
Oh,
will
so it was tonight.
do. So I will bring the minutes back at the next meeting.
Okay, that sounds good. Then we'll be able to do that. Okay, next we have announcements and public comment. The only things that any of the public can talk about are things that are not on the agenda, but anything that you would like to talk about that's not on the agenda, now's the time to do so. If you come before the council to the podium, I'm opening the podium to the public. No public comments. Thank you. Any announcements by the members while we're here, since we're not doing any of the committee things, anything in the Bryce?
No, only that I'm trying to, just to get a presentation, a brief presentation for the council at our next meeting on Moss Spray. Still waiting for some cooperation from UP. Did talk to Thomas Simmons, and he'll be able to make it for sure to give us an update as far as he understands things, but still working on some other aspects of it. And I just was curious, did we decide whether or not we're meeting on the?
It doesn't look like we're still in the process, but it's unlikely because of the lack of council in attendance in the items
Okay,
that are going to be presented.
so May 17th is more likely?
Most
More
likely,
likely,
yes.
that's more likely.
I'm sure UP will love to have more time.
You done?
Yes, thank you.
I got a little something. At the May 17th, I will be bringing back information. Now, I don't want nobody thinking I'm going behind nobody's back, so I'm putting it out there right now. Friday morning at 10 o'clock, I have a meeting with Mr. Ralph Scarrett. I don't know if you guys know who he is, but he's pretty famous. He's the sculptor of the ox and the dragon in Wairika. And I got a meeting with him to talk about this idea about the fish and the fisherman in front of the theater. A sculpture is a no maintenance, so we don't got to water it, we ain't got to do nothing to it. I'm just going to get an idea what it would take, cost, time, just an idea. And I'll be bringing that back to the May 17th meeting. So there you go. My cards are on the table. I think it's best that way.
Ms. Shanta?
I want to thank Bryce for putting the seed with the Trail Association. And people have been walking the trail and doing nothing. And I don't think that it would have happened had you not mentioned it.
I'm certain I had very little to do with the
Well, no,
eventual
it's
success of it, but thank you very much.
But you, you know, it's the fact that you put that seed in there after we walked Tom Dolly, and everybody is loving that new section that they can cross now.
Well, we should all thank the volunteers who helped make it.
Right, but nobody's here that I can thank, so at least you're here and you sort of put the seed in somebody's ear, so.
Anybody count the cars?
What?
56 cars, just everybody wants. What's
About what?
curious,
About
there's 56 cars parked
where?
from the turn down past Cave Springs. 56.
I'm not talking about that, I'm talking between.
I'm talking about using the trail. The people had to park somewhere.
This is a different trail. This is the
You-
one
you
from
said-
Community
you said,
Park.
Going from Mossbury?
No, this is the one
I
going
mean,
from
from, Ash
Community
Creek?
Park.
No.
Yeah.
Community Park down to Tom Dolly. You can
That's what I
now
meant.
make it.
Alan Valley.
The last 100 yards or feet was a little bit treacherous. I made it twice. But now everybody that's using it is just loving it.
Congratulations, that's good news.
Thank you.
Mr. Bridigan, I'm going to wait for myself. What do you have to report? Anything you'd like to report?
Nothing to report.
Okay,
Oh, I have another.
yes, ma'am.
Everybody's making a big point, and I'd like to officially thank Public Works. The city is looking cleaner, and everybody is making comments on it. So, a round of applause to Public Works.
The one thing I'd like to point out, we did just discuss not having a meeting, and the reason I was kind of hesitating on actually officially saying let's not have a meeting was because I understand that there's some concern in the community about how many meetings we have or haven't had in the last couple of few weeks. And I just wanted to put out that on one hand, our hands were tied. We had to have the city manager go to a class down in Sacramento where he had to get it signed up and certified in an area that deals with public works. On the other hand, throughout this whole period of time, the main items that we're working on are continuing on. We have 3 major items that I see that we're working on right now. One of them we'll be discussing tonight, which is the bottling plant. The other is something we'll also be discussing tonight, which is the sidewalks. And the third thing is the budget. And I understand in talking with the city manager that we're on track with the schedule with the budget, that we're dealing right now with the sidewalks, and that we're going to move as fast as we can to resolve the issue with the bottling plant. So I just want to say that we will not have a meeting for the first one in May, and we'll go with the second one. And I just want to get the word out that I think everything is on track, and we're just kind of going with the flow as we have to.
We'll get to 17.
17th will be the next council meeting. That's all. Moving on then, consent agenda.
I make a motion that we adopt the consent agenda.
I second it.
First and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Just a point of order, do we need a council action to cancel a meeting, or?
No.
No.
Okay.
We'll post it, make sure it's posted.
Okay, and then new business, water bottling facility, authorizing negotiations. Mr. City Manager.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. I'm just going to read from the staff report to make sure that it's clear for the audience and for the camera. The city of Dunsmere solicited proposals from interested parties for the lease of the city's water bottling facility located at 4121 Dunsmere Avenue. The city asked that all proposals include 1, an executive summary of intended facility use, 2, experience and background in stated use, 3, demonstration of financial means, 4, lease terms, 5, expected job creation, and 6, any other information that makes them the best candidate. These proposals were due on April 2nd, 2018 at 2 p.m. at City Hall. The city placed ads for this opportunity twice in the local paper and posted it on the city's website and the Siskiyou County Economic Development website. The Finance Committee held a public meeting on April 4th at 4:30 p.m. at the City Council chambers. 3 bids were received and opened at that meeting. An ad hoc committee was formed of the members of the Finance Committee and staff to evaluate the bid proposals. The proposals were evaluated using the criteria that was requested in the advertisement and listed above in items 1 through 5, which I mentioned earlier. The proposal received from Kit and David Marshall scored the highest of the 3 proposals. And staff is here today requesting the council to authorize staff to enter into negotiations with the top proposal in hopes to bring back a lease at a future council meeting for consideration and possible authorization to sign.
Mr. Craig, as chairman of the Finance Committee, would you like to make any kind of comment?
I can't add any more than that, that's fine.
Okay, any other
Exactly
questions?
as what happened?
No, I'd like to thank everybody for their efforts on this.
That's a good, agree with you on that. Okay, I'll open the podium to public comment, and if you have a comment to make, you can step to the podium, hopefully around 3 minutes or so.
Crickets.
Yes, ma'am, certainly. This is your opportunity.
There you go. Time to shine.
Well, I can hardly breathe, but I'm so excited. Thank you. I want to thank you. I'm Kip Marshall. My brother David is going to work with me on this. We're looking forward to entering negotiations and hope to make that happen very quickly. And we're doing lots of things to, we're going to help you with the community. I mean, I'm like stuttering. Anyway, here's what I want to say.
Talk about grinning from ear to ear.
I look like an idiot, don't I? Thank you very much. That's what I'd like to say. I appreciate your confidence in us, and we will not let you down.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments? Close voting to public comment. Discussion, motion perhaps? Questions?
No,
I don't have any.
I'm open for a motion. I move to authorize city manager enter into negotiations with Ms. Kidd and Mr. David Marshall for the lease of the city-owned water bottling facility.
I'll second the motion and just ask staff a question. Can you just outline the basic process for us going forward? So you're going to negotiate with Kit and David around the terms. I mean, obviously, I think it's okay to share that in the proposal, the contracted amounts and things like that were not in their proposal for the lease. And so that's obviously one of the pieces of negotiation. As I understand, perhaps the equipment and things like that will be part of negotiations as well.
Yeah.
Can you just tell us the process going forward?
Absolutely. So the process after today, now that I have a direction to enter into negotiations, there's two parts to this process at this point. One is to start working with the details of the lease, what we're looking for, what they're looking for, timelines, rates, lease payments, and what we're looking for up front, and to start that negotiation on that aspect. On the other side, now we have to work with the person who has a current lease to figure out what needs to be done on that side. So there's kind of a two-phase process. They're separate, but they intertwine in a lot of different ways because it's a lot of equipment that's in that facility. The city doesn't own it, so we got to work with the current owner of that equipment about what to do with that equipment, and also we have some debt things that we have to figure out how that's going to be reconciled as well. So there's that aspect, and we want to make sure that we can keep the two moving forward, hopefully in a positive direction.
Is it your expectation that the next city council meeting, being May 17th, would be the earliest to bring this back to the council, or could you foresee a special meeting should negotiations go quicker?
Unlikely. It's unlikely that it'll be sooner than that.
Okay.
So we've got to get our city attorney working with the winning proposal on what the terms of the lease are going to be. We do have a lease kind of as a template that this council approved, so that's something to work from.
Okay.
We just need to make sure that what they're looking to do with the facility, we evaluate, make sure that the process goes through its legislative needs. If there's any kind of changes that we need to get approved, things like that. So we're going to move as quickly as we can, that's for sure. We want to make sure that place is in production and doing the best it can as soon as possible.
Are any of the future steps necessary to be closed session items? Would there be, like, if you bring the proposed terms back, would that need to be in closed session?
No.
No, it could be in open session?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't foresee it needing to be in closed session. If there's any kind of legal action on the other side of
Right.
what to do about existing situations, that may be in closed session.
Okay.
So it's unlikely that there'd be a conflict where we'd have to be in closed session. We're hoping that it all moves forward quickly.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, I'm comfortable voting now to.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. All opposed? None? Carries. Did we need to, no, I guess we're not. No money involved, so
This
we're fine.
direction. No money.
Thank you. Okay, on to the next item. Thank you very much. Good luck. We're looking forward to working with you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
I'll wait till all leave and just relax.
Yeah, was this your crew, kid?
Yes,
You got fans everywhere you go.
oh
You drive safe, all right?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item, authorization to sign transportation documents. Mr. Manager.
Okay, a little bit of deja vu here, I apologize for that, but this came before the city council back in February, where the council authorized a resolution that I'm now asking to be rescinded, that gave the city manager authorization to enter into this master agreement and any supporting documents. Unfortunately, when that resolution got to Caltrans, it didn't have exact language that they were looking for that made where they were comfortable saying that specifically I had the authorization to sign the master agreement. So this language that we have in the resolution before you now is specifically from the people who will be approving the master agreement and signing the master agreement. This is the language and wording they're looking for. It's similar to what we had before, but it's much more specific to the master agreement being signed by myself and all documents and programs that are associated with the master agreement that kind of go along with it as well. So it's really a cleanup here to rescind the original resolution that was passed in February and pass a new resolution to accomplish what we were intending back in February.
No, it's just we gotta let everybody know you're the boss.
Well, but one of the questions I have is, are we talking about two separate actions then? One to rescind?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. It can all be done in one motion.
Oh, okay, that's what I was wondering.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Is it section 3 where it gives you the,
Oh, in the resolution?
yeah,
Found it?
section 3 is where it finally gives you
Yep.
an execute.
Hey, Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
can you just briefly summarize, I mean, in the whereas here, it says that the city has a direct economic benefit from participating in federal aid program.
Yes.
Could you just summarize roughly again why we need to be, why you need to have the authority to do this, or what benefit the city receives?
Sure.
This is not the FEMA thing, is it?
No.
Okay.
There's kind of two parts to your question there. One being economic benefit, and the second part being why I have to have authority. So the second part, why I have to have authority, I don't. If the council wants me to come back to the council for everything that comes across the desk, we could do that. It'd just be more work. But if that's what the council chooses, we could do that. The second part is economic benefit. So these are grants that are coming from federal agencies. In particular, this is kind of a direct result of Butterfly Bridge.
Okay.
Where we're looking at, instead of fixing just the scour, we're now going to be replacing the bridge, but it's federal money that's going to be 100% covering this project. And in that, typically every 10 years, they come out with a new master plan, and since this is going to a bridge replacement, our master plan is getting to 10 years, so they just updated it, so they don't have to do it again.
But isn't it also is like you're designated as the project manager?
Yeah, so I'll be the responsible person in
Exactly.
charge. Yeah.
And we said the economic benefit would include not having to hire somebody to do that.
Well, we're going to get grant funds, 100% funding from the feds to pay for the bridge.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, if we didn't have this resolution, we wouldn't be able to have you do that, right?
We wouldn't be able to get the money to do the
Right.
bridge. Yeah. Or have me do it.
Just one final thing, in entering into this master agreement, being signatories, I guess, to it, are there any obligations that we have besides what you've mentioned so far? I mean, are there other things we should be aware of?
Well, there was, I would say there's been obligations that's been ongoing since the city received the audit from Caltrans. The training that the mayor referred to earlier, why we canceled last meeting, was because of the Caltrans audit requiring a responsible person in charge employed by the city get this type of training. And I think it was back in January, we passed a standard, a Caltrans standards for hiring of consultants. In this federal funding, there's a lot of things that have to be done exactly as per their standards, so that we're not liable to have to pay any money back. So we are, under a very tight, we have to follow things exactly as prescribed, to make sure that
But we have a good understanding of what those things are now and
I
can
was
stick to them?
really brought to speed on a lot of things in federal funding. So one of the things I'm going to be looking at doing, also I've been in contract with Caltrans about possibly doing a design build for the Butterfly Bridge. One of the things in this federal training class, the federal aid series training, I mean, they have departments and consultants, a team of kind of unlimited team to work on these things. Here, it's one person. And the concern of working with the railroad, environmental design, and by the time it's finally built, there could be a span between when the engineers design it to when they actually build it. So from advice of people in the class, I said, you know, you might want to look into doing design build because it helps to minimize that gap because the engineers and the construction are working together. So I've put in a request with the Caltrans. They haven't done it, they did a pilot for the design build before. They're looking into see if that's something we could do here as well.
Thank you. Not
Any
sure what's
questions?
happening over
I
there.
don't know.
No, what is going on over
Something
there?
on TV.
You heard, Brucey's deaf, you don't hear.
We might
You
have
got
lost.
TV, channel plans.
It's, I know, I didn't turn it on, but it must be on. I'm sorry, I didn't turn it off, I guess, but let's just move on.
Looks like a riot.
All right, so anything else?
No, not for me, thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say, a public comment, Sharon, you wanna comment? Okay, I'll close the podium to Sharon.
All right.
All in favor, say aye.
Excuse me.
Oh, we gotta do the motion.
Yeah, I move to
Sorry.
pass resolution 2018-05, authorizing the city manager to sign master agreement number 02-5183F15, program supplements, fund exchange and fund transfer agreements needed for administrating agency state agreements and rescind resolution 2018-02.
Sounds good. Second.
Okay,
I'm
first
sorry.
and second.
I'm sorry, I have it the other way in my numbers. I have the one that's rescinding is not numbered and the one authorizing is 02.
Just the reverse.
Well, reverse it. Well, it says right,
Is that
5,
what you guys have?
rescinding 2, right.
Rescinding two, we're reading five, right?
Right, rescinding 2,
Is that
bringing in 5, that's
Okay.
right. You're
I think
all,
mine's
what I
wrong.
said is right.
Just wanted to confirm, thank you.
We have a second, call the vote.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
How could you possibly have something different than what?
I think he's looking down at the attachments,
No,
maybe.
I'm looking at the actual resolutions.
Right, the resolution we're
Oh,
rescinding
you're looking over there.
Is the second one.
Is the second one.
I know, but I'm just saying the one that's authorizing, not rescinding, is numbered 02 on mine.
No, that's the one we have passed to get.
Oh, that is the one?
Yes.
Okay,
That's the
Got
only
it.
one that we're rescinding.
got it.
All right. What's
We're all in
next?
agreement then.
Number C.
Oh, this is rescinding and authorizing, got it.
Good. Next one, item C, SB1 gas tax project funding. Mr. City Manager.
Okay, this is very good news. I know one of the goals of the city council was to look into having some kind of program to deal with sidewalks. There was money put in the budget this year. We have some uncertainty about revenues, so we've been holding off on that. But we're not holding off on going forward with doing something with sidewalks. Having a presence, I think, on the LTC has been a good thing because we received some award from the LTC, our RSTP fund to work on a civic sidewalk project, is what I'm calling it. And we applied for SB1 funding for the current fiscal year that we're in. And we have a deadline to get a resolution passed to apply for next year's SB1 funding by the end of this month. So this was another driving factor to get the special meeting for today so that we can make sure that we get a resolution passed, should the council want to pass it, so that we can get next year's SB1 funding. And the plan for that funding is to put a portion of that towards this project. Our engineers were looking at what they can cut out of the sidewalk project. Originally, we were looking at doing sidewalks from one City Hall parking lot to the other City Hall parking lot and the US Bank. We didn't get the full grant amount from the RSTEP fund, so we pulled back, but we did get money and we supplemented with the first round of SB1. But we scaled it back, but we're still looking at how to cut corners, and we're looking at curb and gutter, kind of as a consequence. With applying for this next year's round of SB1 funding, we're looking at putting in the curb and gutter. Still not as much sidewalk as we're hoping for, but it's quite a bit more. So I think it's going to be a great project. We have the funding needed, and we're looking at any excess funds from the SB1 funding to be used towards crack sealing of our roads. So that SB1 funds have to be used for road projects or road transportation. So we're hoping, we have an engineer's estimate of what we expect the bids to come in at. So we have that buffer to make sure that we're going to be okay. So any extra will be, that we get from the bids, hopefully will go towards crack sealing of our roads.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
did you have something?
No.
Okay. I'm totally in favor of this, and I'm so proud to actually have something that says sidewalk project.
Yeah.
Politically, that's very good for us. I do want to note that, you know, given the cutbacks and where we're doing the work, politically, we're probably still facing a lot of people saying, oh, you're doing what's in front of City Hall and not the rest of the town. But so it's, for me, it's still a priority and something I hope stays on top of our radar.
Absolutely.
But even if you had to make the argument, I'm just curious, is this, like if we were saying we're doing worst first, is this the worst in the assessment? Like can we basically say we're doing worst first and this is the first?
No, I would say this is, my approach is there's a couple ways. One is it's the center of our city. It's the civic center of our city. And a big part of this is also providing public transportation. We're looking at a bus stop right next to City Hall and right across from City Hall. So we got the north and southbound. This is kind of one of those things that's going to get those nice bus stops. We're looking at one like at Children's Park over here by City Hall, and one across the City Hall by US Bank that's going to be a semi-seat. So we're looking at, you know, this being the area where everyone can get to get, you know, in and out of town. And also it's going to be kind of a pilot project of how things are going to be in the future. You know, we're looking at replacing some trees with some of the trees that were recommended or given direction by the city as to what we're looking to do for replacing these trees that are tearing up the sidewalk. So we're going to kind of have a showcase.
That
One
sounds
question I have.
good to me. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, the one question I have is, do we still have the Veterans Memorial sidewalk high on the list to do at the same time? Can we do that at the same time?
As soon as we have a good picture of where we're at financially, and that's definitely high on the list. As soon as we are comfortable moving forward with getting that done, we're going to get that done.
So this is, we're designating particular grant funds that are rated at a particular area of project, is what you're saying, so that wouldn't really come under this funding.
Though
Can I seek funds for that section of sidewalk to surpass something? I mean, if I come up and say, hey, man, I've acquired this much money and it's dedicated to fix this section of sidewalk for the Veterans Fountain, can I do that?
Absolutely. We have $22,000 sitting, waiting to go, that's already been approved. So I'm hoping we get moving on that. And I have a means of how to get it done. I mean,
27,000, almost 28,000, right?
That's the cost?
No. The cost to do that Veterans Fountain area, that sidewalk, curb gutter, is approximately about $2,500 through the means I was looking at, where we hire temp service.
Could the city council right now or some other time say, do it?
See, I think, Mark, what you're hearing here is, everyone here knows this is probably the number one issue we're all facing as members of the council, so.
Why?
Absolutely.
It focuses our mind.
I would strongly advise giving me direction to spend money. I'm not sure if we're going to have enough to balance the budget. But if you are that strong to spend money, you can put us in the hole.
That's right, and I'm not, so until we figure out,
I'll get some money. Go ahead.
We're close. We're starting to work.
I understand that. I think if I'm echoing anything that Bruce is saying, I'm just saying, getting us in the hole is one thing. $2,500 is a pretty small drop in the bucket when you look at, I mean, we can all skip a training next year and cover that.
that's next year's budget.
I know, but like, it doesn't matter. We could do this in next year's budget.
But we had,
I'll get this money
Money
from
could carry over. It's not, I'm just saying.
He's gonna get this money donated, let's move on. We'll move on from this aspect.
yeah, because
My only other question on this project was, it looks to me like, I can't totally tell, but does this project, the scope of this work include on this side of the street, just right out here, this,
Turn.
No.
the turn, okay?
That
Looked like
would
it cut off
be-
Before that.
That would be some of the other money that I was planning on as part of what's in the budget, $22,000. Number
Right.
one was Veterans Found. Number two was to accompany the work being done out here with the grant funds
Okay.
to kind of finish the project off.
You can't
And
fix
then-
this till you get rid of that tree. That tree's what's causing all that.
It's causing problems everywhere.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those.
So that's the number two priority in my
Okay.
book.
That we,
This is great. Now we sort of know where his priorities are at, and he knows where ours are at. and,
Absolutely,
Absolutely.
yeah.
We
I
can
think we have the same priority.
move forward. Yeah, we do. And yeah, we can.
Being frugal and prudent. Prudent.
are we going to?
Do we have a open podium, closed podium? Do we have a motion?
I'll move to adopt resolution number 2017-06 to receive SB1 funding in FY 2018/2019 in the amount of $27,966 to support the 2018 sidewalk project and crack sealing of city roads.
I'll second it.
And a first and a second, all in favor, say aye.
Do we roll call this? 'Cause
We're
it's
not
one-
spending money,
No,
we're
we're not
receiving.
spending money,
Okay,
we're
aye.
aye.
We're not
Aye.
spending money?
No?
No,
We're
I'm
just
sorry.
allocating already budgeted money?
Right.
It's a resolution to receive
Oh,
grant
great.
funds,
Great.
or tax funds.
Your
Yeah.
vote then, sir?
I vote yes.
And a yes for me, it's unanimous, that's it. Okay, without objection,
We had
Do we have
three
any discussion?
unanimous votes.
any discussion that we want to talk about for closing, for adjournment here?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
I agree.
Seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you for coming.